truly love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another meadow. There are cornfields and wheat fields enough to grow. There are sunbeams and moonbeams enough to shine. Oh, listen, Lord, if you want to know what the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just to love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Good evening and welcome to the Renaissance Men Live. Hopefully you can hear us. Hopefully this is going okay and there's no technical hiccups. My computer sounds like it's going to blow up. So if it does, boys, it's been an absolute pleasure getting you on the show and at least attempting to do something with you. I'm joined today by Renaissance Men alumni, James. How do you like to go by these days, Midge? Is it Midge, James L. Perkins, James Midgemeister Perkins? I'm never quite sure.
Well, I go by many names, to be fair.
Yes, you do.
Hi first, by the way. Yeah, I go by many names. It depends what I'm talking about. If I'm just sort of in my general state, it's Midge. If I'm going to do something to do with Starburst magazine, I'm Magic Perkins. And then if I'm talking about my movies, it's James L. Perkins. So
Yes.
Today you've got James L. Perkins.
Yes, we have James L. Perkins, filmmaker extraordinaire. You obviously lost your filmmaking cherry with Sequestration.
That is true, if you want to put it like that.
In the nicest possible way. We're also joined by David Robert Bridge, fellow Renaissance brother. Hello, DRB. How are you?
Oh, I'm very, very well today, Stu.
Good, good. Yeah, so we've kind of got you both together because you are working on a project, an exciting project that I don't know much about. So I was very, very keen to get you on to chat through, what it is you're up to and kind of how you working together came about and the process you've gone through so far. So I guess Midge, I'm going to hand it over to you and just to kind of introduce us to what you've been up to and what this concept is all about.
Yeah, sure. So my first movie, as Stu alluded to, was Sequestration, which came out on YouTube back on the 17th of May. I'll always remember that date because when you do something for the first time, when you bring a project to life, it's a very, very special day. So the 17th of May will always live on in my memory. And I had such a blast bringing that short story to life. And I was joined by some incredibly talented actors and actresses. I did an interview with Stu and the rest of the of our good brothers just after it launched. So yeah, since then I've been very, very busy working on my second project, which is a short film called The Veil of Isolation. It was originally called Dear Diary, but
Okay.
yeah. So if you'd seen me talking about that on
Yes.
social media, that
Yes.
is The Veil of Isolation is what Dear Diary has transformed into. That name change came about when I slightly altered the script and I got a producer on board. But yeah, that's my next project. This is, in terms of the scale, the story, and the budget, is much, much bigger than Sequestration. Sequestration was a great starting block for me, and I was so proud of what we managed to achieve on such a small budget. Well, I say small budget, we had no budget. It was literally completely free. That's why I released it on YouTube. And yeah, for me it was a learning experience and a chance to really see what I was capable of. And I think I did it in such an interesting fashion to, present me with the challenge of having no budget, whereas usually with a film you have a budget. So once I'd finished post-production on Sequestration, I had, as I said, I had such a blast with it that I wanted to do another film. Like I was chomping at the bit to do something else. So I was like, right, what can I do next within the confines of the current situation, being that nobody can go anywhere, because obviously back then lockdown hadn't been lifted in any way, shape, or form, or I think it was very, very slowly starting. But either way, we were all still incredibly restricted on what we could do. So I wanted to take the idea of using technology as a way of telling a story, being able to create a film that we could make remotely. And I thought, like, what can we do that isn't a Skype call or a Zoom call or anything like that? What can we do that feels unique and can allow us to get over the hurdle of COVID restrictions? I thought a vlog, like a video diary. You see these YouTubers doing their daily vlogs or weekly vlogs quite often, and I thought, what about using that as a way of telling the story, essentially making up the story of a series of monologues and events. So I came up with the Dear Diary mantra. And from there I thought, right, so I did like sort of dramatic thriller with Sequestration. Let's try and take it more in the direction of what I want to do, and that is horror, which I mentioned on the last time I came on to talk about Sequestration.
Yeah.
And so I started coming up with these ideas of how to create a story that revolves around one character in particular, that is literally led by one single actress, and that has the ability to encapsulate and enthrall people, whilst also using those real fears and anxiety that a lot of us, including myself, have had during COVID times, and create a compelling story. So I began work on the script, and I honestly think, like, the first draft for this actually came around, I think, a lot quicker than Sequestration. But this one went through a lot more reworking and a lot more drafts than my previous film. So in the end, I think we got up to about the fifth version of the film where I felt comfortable with everything, felt that everything was achievable, and that was after I got on my incredibly talented, multi-award-winning filmmaker friend Scott Lias. Got him on board with the project, and he's serving as producer.
Okay.
And he's been so hard at work helping me develop the ins and outs of the film, so that it's realistically achievable within, as I said, within the confines. So I should probably actually mention what the story is about. I sort of briefly alluded to, obviously, the fact it is shot in the form of a video diary over a length of time. The story follows, as you can see on your screen there, the story of Simone McCarthy. She's played by the incredibly talented, award-winning actress Natalie Martins, who is an absolute superstar. And the story follows her journey throughout lockdown, and she documents her time in the form of a video diary, which she shares with family and friends, and also strangers online. Just to create a community, as we do for podcasts and YouTube channels. You want to create a community, and also she wants to do it as a way of not feeling alone, because she lives on her own. But as the story progresses, things get darker and darker, and in true fashion, if you've watched Sequestration, not everything is as it seems, and there's a few twists and turns. And by the end of it, she's her normal life has completely changed, as has normality for all of us, really. And it's all about her journey, and what I wanted is the audience to connect with that character, and see a lot of relatability in the story. And I think that's a way of getting everyone on board, and finding a common ground with Simone.
Yeah, that's a really interesting concept, Mitch. I'm not going to lie to you. I love what you did with Sequestration, and what you're doing here is you're finding ways of connecting with people in a time when we've never been more separated and apart. I think that's a
Mhm.
really interesting concept.
Thank
And
you.
and film and music, as you would probably agree, DRB, is something that we can all kind of draw to and connect with from a distance. So yeah, a really interesting concept. I'm very much looking forward to seeing what comes of it.
Thank you.
You have given us a little taster of a sneak peek at the teaser trailer, and
Yes.
the step up in quality in just the the visuals alone. Obviously, before you were, I'm assuming was that like webcam based mostly, or
Yeah, so Sequestration was all done. Literally, the actors were conversing via webcam,
yeah,
and I was literally the way we did it was I was skulking in the shadows, like
as you do.
recording the screen, in order to capture the events that
Yeah.
transpired. But with this one, not only have I been so incredibly fortunate to get such a talented actress in Natalie on board with the project, but she's also a professional photographer, as well as an actress and a filmmaker herself.
Mm.
So I've been able to keep everyone safe who is involved in the project by doing it remotely, but also utilize Natalie's other skills and equipment.
Mm.
She's acting as the cinematographer on the film, because she is essentially shooting it herself in her house, whilst also obviously following my direction, and with Scott in the background being the day-to-day producer.
Mm.
So what we've done as well is as you alluded to, I've shared with you a very exclusive first look at the teaser trailer, which is from the test footage that we shot a few weeks ago. So a lot of it has already been put into place, and we do shoot later in August. But one of the reasons why we came on the show to talk about this was the fact that if you're watching this live tomorrow, which is the 31st of July, Friday the 31st, we are launching a Kickstarter campaign for the film, because this one, as Stu said, it's a step up in quality. There's a lot more inner workings with this story that we want to utilize to tell the story in order to make the best film possible. But that will require a budget, and because especially we're all on tough times, we are launching this Kickstarter campaign in order to get the very generous independent film community on board to give us as much as they can. To steal Tesco's slogan, "Every little helps." It really does.
Nice.
And that will be launching tomorrow on Friday the 31st of July at 8 p.m. British time, and it's going to be lasting for 30 days. I can confirm now that we are looking at a goal of £5,000. I think, you know, that might seem like a lot, but in terms of filmmaking, in my short filmmaking career, I've already discovered that, you know, that £5,000 might seem like a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, that's, you know, if we can achieve that goal, and I think if we can, that will be one of the best feelings of my life, if we can achieve that goal as a community. That will, every single penny of that will go into making this the best film possible, to paying the cast and crew, to making sure everyone who's very generously donated gets all of their perks on time, that the film looks and sounds the best it can, and that it can get out to the film festival circuit, because that is something that I want to achieve with this. Is I want this to be my first film to do that festival circuit, to showcase my work and the work of everyone else involved, be it Natalie, Scott, and of course DRB here, to show the world what we can do within the confines of being very, very restricted. I like to think that although the whole situation with COVID is the worst thing to happen in our lifetimes to the planet Earth and to humanity in general, I think I've successfully taken this really bad situation and made some good of it. Because I want to. I've always wanted to make films. I said this last time we did the interview, and I had something lined up to do later this year anyway, but I haven't let lockdown and all of these restrictions stop me from creating it. If anything, it's allowed me to do more, to come up with more creative ideas, to get around these barriers, and I think it's benefited me as a filmmaker. Obviously, I would much rather the whole COVID thing not happened to the world, but I think that myself, along with some other people that I've been conversing with over the last few months, have seen this as an opportunity to challenge themselves and to challenge the way that they work.
Yeah, I would, not to interrupt, but I would look at that, and I think it's made a lot of people do a bit of soul searching.
Oh, definitely.
And think about what they want to achieve in life, because you only get one shot at it.
Sure, absolutely. And one of the great things about working on The Veil of Isolation and getting this film made is it's brought myself and Mr. David Robert Bridge here closer together in terms of a professional capacity. And I feel like I've been rambling for ages, so I'm actually going to hand it over to DRB now to tell everyone about let me just say, incredible work that he's already put into the official score for the film. And I'm so excited for everyone to hear what he's been working on. And I'm excited to see what other stuff he's going to be working on as we head into full production and then post-production. So DRB, take it away.
Yeah, I guess my involvement, I should say, is because James has, I've known him for a few years through podcasting. I've been familiar with him reviewing films, talking about films, but I didn't know that he wanted to make them. And he was, I think, completely clueless about my background in terms of composition. I studied for it. I've got many composer friends, and it was something that I really wanted to get into. And then suddenly we find ourselves in a situation where he wants to make a film. I want to go back to composing. Hey, here we are. So it just made sense to do that. In terms of the music that you're going to hear in this film, there'll be the sort of classic horror stuff, the kind of style of music that you associate with horror, but there's going to be a lot more. There's going to be some different levels, different atmospheres, different feelings, because it's a horror film, but it's also, I get the sense there's going to be a slice of life element to it. It's not going to be just your bog standard slasher by any means. So you're going to get some interesting layers.
Are there moments of light in there and comedy or anything like that in there, or is it a really dark film?
It's one that I think a lot of people saw this with Sequestration as well. Is that I'm a huge fan of horror. It's my favorite genre, and that's why I said last time that I want to do horror. But I don't want to be one of these people that just creates your paint by numbers horror films. You got a group of people, something goes wrong, people die, bish bash bosh, few jump scares in there. That's not the way I work. I want to craft for me, I want to craft a film that is rooted in its characters, or in this case character, her real life relatability that connects the audience with the film and the characters and the world on an emotional level. And then when stuff takes that turn or that twist or that shock element, people will be so invested that they can't help but be shocked or terrified or feel sympathy for the characters in question in the film. That's the way that I want to work and want to craft films when I make them. I have plenty of other ideas for other types of genre films, but for me, in terms of crafting a horror film, it's not your average film. As you can see, when people see the teaser trailer, which will be going live on the Kickstarter page tomorrow, and also on YouTube as well. I'll be posting it all over my social media. Literally for the whole campaign, I will be pretty much tweeting about nothing but this, in order to get as many eyes on it as possible. But you'll see from the teaser trailer alone, from Natalie's performance, from her cinematography, and just the natural dialogue and progression throughout the film, how it starts off so light and gets darker and darker as it goes. And I think that in terms of the relatability scale, a lot of people have felt the same. Lockdown started, they thought, oh, okay, this is fine, let's all just stay indoors and stay safe.
Very much so.
There's plenty of stuff to do. And then as the weeks and weeks and months went on, people, depending on their work background or their social status, people from all different backgrounds were struggling to cope with this at different times. I was one of the lucky few where I'm an introvert, so staying indoors wasn't really much of an issue for me. But I of course, as everyone else did, had anxieties about normal life not being the same potentially ever again. And I saw so many of my friends and loved ones and acquaintances struggle on different levels with being restricted in what they can and can't do. So I took all of those elements into the script, the dialogue, the character of Simone, and the world. And when I first approached DRB to come on board with the project, after hearing his sensational work on his SoundCloud and everything, I thought this is something that I think he can thrive with, taking that real world element and put that is very present in his music, whilst also being slightly surreal. The light and the dark, the balance, the yin and the yang. I think that from what I'd written and then hearing DRB's previous work, I thought that this would be a perfect debut film project for him to work on with me. Yeah. And so far, like I said, everything that he's produced, I've been absolutely blown away with. It perfectly encapsulates how I felt when I was writing a particular scene, or how I feel when I'm envisaging a scene in my mind. He's done a terrific job so far, and the work hasn't finished yet. We haven't obviously started full proper production on the film, right? So there's so much more to come, but everything that we've done so far has been so positive and so powerful that I'm just so proud and grateful for everyone who's been involved in the project so far. And this is going to be an absolute game changer, not only for me, but hopefully for everyone involved, and maybe even potentially the genre as a whole.
How does just going back to the filmmaking process and how you two have collaborated? How have you worked together? How do you start scoring a film, DRB?
ordinarily a composer wouldn't be brought in until production or possibly even post-production. But because he's brought me in early, it's given me a head start. And basically, I've just been working from the script and trying to identify what the scene is trying to convey, what the character is feeling, and just writing according to that and doing it in such a way where I'll be able to easily fix timing issues, which is bound to be later down the line. But yeah, Midge said that it's the kind of project that I should thrive in. I kind of agree, because I like to write for characters. And it's sort of a traditional theatrical sort of thing where you write a character theme, and maybe that theme goes off in different places at different times of the story. And as the whole thing ebbs and flows, it will flow in and out, or hopefully organically throughout the film. And yeah, that's kind of what we've done so far. Most of the work will come at a later stage when, we're really getting into the dramatic moments, and that really does need to be done whilst looking at the visual. But conceptually, at this point, I can still come up with some interesting stuff that should work.
Will you come into any part of the editing process or anything like that, or are you purely down to the score and all that kind of business? I don't know how it works, like in the post.
Probably not the editing as such. That'll be more a job for Scott Lias, but I'll probably need to be kept abreast so that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm planning on serving as the editor for chief editor for this as well. So what we've done is, as DRB said, the composer would get brought in later down the line, but I wanted to first of all get him fully on board with the project, and also put to the test my strengths as a writer, because I wrote, as I said, the entire screenplay myself as well. So to begin with, it was very much my story, and then I brought everyone else on board at a later date. But I think the interesting thing in doing it this way is seeing DRB's interpretation of the scenes. And as I said, I've loved everything he's done so far, and that really shows his strength as a composer, but also in a way as well, potentially my strength as a writer. And that's something that I don't think I'm perfect in any form of this, but what I want to do with every film that I make is challenge myself, push my limits as a filmmaker, and every film I make, I want it to be better than the last. And I think that's a really good work ethic to have, because if you get to a point where you're comfortable with what you're doing, you stop pushing yourself and stop trying to create the best thing possible, and you get sort of stuck in a rut. So no matter how good, no matter how amazing this film is going to be, and I'm sure, I'm so proud and excited to share the film with everyone, and I think we're going to create something truly, truly special. When it comes to the next project, being able to create something that's better than this is going to be difficult, but no one got anywhere good without overcoming difficult challenges. And that's why I always want to push myself and everyone else involved as well, because I think it makes us better people and better professionals in our field. So, I would love to obviously work with DRB again, just based off of everything that we've done so far. But it would be a case of, when we do the next film, for example, I'd be, hopefully getting him to push himself more as well. And, in turn, making him better at what he does and making him feel better about what he's doing. And it's all really about inspiring everyone involved, because I myself have been inspired by so many people, including Scott Lias, my producer. He's inspired me, and I've become such close friends with him, and I feel so blessed and so lucky to have known him. And I hope that my films, as I continue this filmmaking journey, which has been just the best journey ever, as I continue, I hope that I can, inspire people, even if it's just one person. I feel like I've achieved that, whilst also being able to share my visions and my stories with everyone.
That's a very commendable attitude, Midge. To be honest,
Thank you.
and I think what you're saying is very true. I think even on a small level, like I've seen you grow, and from a a film critic, like taking your first steps into doing that, and now you're on this other journey. It's actually really quite inspiring to see you do it. And it's speaking personally, it's kind of pushed me to do more stuff with this podcast.
Mhm.
And even if it's like a little change like that, I think it's worth kind of going for trying to achieve your goals, isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
I've certainly felt what you're saying to some degree. I guess if to start rounding this up, then I want to bring it back to the Kickstarter somewhat, so we can kind of, once you've outlined a few details about it,
Sure.
are you happy to put out the URL of the page yet, or do you have that, or what do you want to do with that?
I don't think I have access to it until it goes live.
Gotcha.
What I will do for everyone out there is you can follow myself on Twitter at Midgemeister. Scott is at Scott Lias. Natalie is at NDC_Martins, and DRB, you are
At DRB Composers.
brilliant. Yeah. So all of us will be tweeting out the link on a semi-regular basis,
Yeah.
so we don't inundate everyone, but also keep everyone aware and get more eyes on it. So it goes live tomorrow, as I said, Friday 31st at 8 p.m. As soon as it goes live, we will be posting the link. I'll send the link to you, Stu, so you can post it from the Renaissance Men.
Thank you very much.
If you wish to do so.
Of course.
And then we'll go from there, because until I actually hit the button to launch it, I don't think I've got an official link to the page. But I can talk briefly about some of the perks that we're going for. So the pledge amounts, you can pledge any amount on Kickstarter anyway. You can make a pledge without any reward, so even if you just want to chuck £1 or £2 or whatever, you can absolutely do that, and we will be incredibly grateful for that. But in terms of like pledges with rewards, it goes from £5 all the way up to £1,000. Those sort of £500 and £1,000 pledges are kind of for your industry professionals, or unless you are just a film fan with a lot of money that wants to donate.
Sugar
Absolutely,
daddy.
of course, I'm not going to say no to that. But yeah, those are kind of with those you get the producer credits, like associate producer and executive producer. Some of the lower tiered rewards will include, like, for example, if you donate £10, you'll get a link to the film, to the finished film, once it's completed its festival run, because it's one of those sort of legal issues where once we've made the film and we go on this journey of submitting it to festivals, once it's sort of completed that run, we can then look at getting it onto streaming services, be it Amazon, or maybe even potentially something like Shudder, which would be an absolute dream come true. But that sort of thing will come later down the line. So we're looking at probably the first few months of next year when we can share it publicly on a streaming platform. Whereas for the latter part of this year and the beginning of next year, it will be going around doing online film festivals, physical film festivals, obviously when we can start doing those again, because obviously of everything that's going on. And as it's looking, we might even get a second wave, God forbid, towards the end of this year. Hopefully not, because then we can actually start having physical film festivals again, which I'd love to see, because seeing this on a big screen is an absolute dream of mine. As we go a bit further, so the slightly higher tiered rewards, we'll be looking at at doing some posters, which is very, very exciting. So we're doing limited edition posters. Depending on how much you donate, you either just get the poster on its own, or if you donate a little bit more, you will get a signed poster.
Nice.
And as of right now, it's going to be signed by myself, by Scott, and by Natalie.
That's the collector in you, isn't it? The video game collector in you coming out. That's why
Yeah.
that's why that tear's there.
I would sign it, but that would mean teaching me to read and write. And that's not going to happen.
And one of the other things, one of the other cool perks is depending on how much you pledge, you'll get access to exclusive behind the scenes content. So we're going to be able to share that cool stuff without giving away too much about what's going on, because we don't want to spoil the ending, of course. But yeah, I suppose if I wasn't involved in the project and I saw a limited edition signed poster, I'd be like, absolutely.
You'd be all over that, mate.
I'm all over that. I'm quite fortunate, as of course I'm gonna get a poster for free myself because I'm making the movie.
Well, quite right.
So,
yeah.
so that's gonna of course be up on my wall. I think one final thing really to say is first of all, thank you, Stu, for having us on to do some publicity for this.
Oh, pleasure.
This is another, like, doing publicity for this film before we've made it and everything feels, it's another sort of official feeling going forward in my career, because I made Sequestration and then did the interviews after, but being able to talk about like an upcoming project and already having that buzz surrounding it is super cool. It's a great feeling. And of course, thank you, DRB, for joining me on this journey.
Of course.
It's been incredible so far to have you on board, and I'm very, very confident that everyone who does watch The Veil of Isolation, when we can share it with everyone, will not only love the film but also love DRB's work. And
well, fingers crossed. I mean, the film, I will just quickly say, because no disrespect to Sequestration, because we enjoyed that and you did a great job with it, but this is going to be better. It's kind of a matter of fact kind of thing. It already looks better, and there's just a whole different feel to it.
Well, like I said, I'm always pushing myself to make the best film possible, so I'd imagine that the film I make after this would be even better than this, but that's not taking away from the fact that every film that I make throughout my career will have its place and will be something that I'm incredibly proud of and grateful for. Like, I will never forget this film. I will never forget Sequestration, because each film is making me better as a filmmaker and also is allowing me to do bigger and potentially better things. So I'm, so grateful for that as well. And as I said, we can't quite share the teaser trailer with everyone yet, but that will be going live on the Kickstarter page along with the campaign video which we've shot. So that will go live with the campaign tomorrow night. But I can reveal the tagline for The Veil of Isolation. Tagline is, "Isolation is only the beginning."
Oh.
So hopefully that sort of whetted the appetite, as they say.
You tease. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to the Kickstarter kicking off, as it were. You mentioned, obviously, we've mentioned Sequestration a couple of times. That is on your YouTube channel. I think it's worth just pimping that as well, Midge.
Absolutely. If you search for James L. Perkins on YouTube, you will find a link to the YouTube channel. It's easier than searching for Sequestration because a lot of other stuff comes up. So yeah, if you just search for James L. Perkins on YouTube, you can find my channel and my short film, which stars the incredibly talented group of actors, Ben Manning, Francesca Louise White, and Kate Davies Speak. All three of them are absolute superstars, and again, one of those things, I'm so grateful for them being involved in the project. And I wanted to give not only a shout out to DRB, but also to Scott Lias and of course Natalie Martins for everything they've done so far and everything that we continue to achieve. I just thank you from the bottom of my heart, really, and I am so excited to share the Veil of Isolation with everyone once we've made the film. And of course, we need everyone's help to make the film. So please check out the Kickstarter tomorrow, Friday the 31st of July at 8 p.m. British time.
Yes, I echo that wholeheartedly. We're recording a new episode of the podcast tomorrow night. Hopefully, we'll get it done by the time the Kickstarter launches, so we can give a good old pimping on the show and get that show out, so people can have another chance to go and subscribe to it and do what we need to do. So
thank you.
No, pleasure. What I would love to do is get you on, say, in like a year, just after this is all blown over and you've succeeded and you've achieved everything you want to achieve with the Veil of Isolation, and kind of just get a retrospective view of how it all played out, and what you learned
really
from the production, and how maybe you are taking what you've learned into your next projects. And so I think having that side of the conversation will also be quite interesting as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I mean, like I said, I'm learning so much every single day throughout this entire pre-production. I've learned about about more about the role of producer, because I produced my last film, but it was a very, very short and small production. That I was able to, with my lack of experience, I was able to still successfully achieve everything I needed to. But learning from Scott, who is such an incredible mind, and he's got such a vast experience over years and years of his work in film, and has such a passion and love for this industry. I've learned so much from him. I've learned so much from Natalie in terms of the acting side of things. I've learned a lot from DRB in terms of music. So I'm always learning, and that's something that I never want that feeling to stop. No matter if in a few years' time I'm making feature films with a budget that's 10 to 100 times bigger than this, I always want to be learning stuff, because I think that knowledge, in no matter what line of stuff you do, whether it's film, TV, video games, books, comics, whatever, pushing yourself to learn stuff is one of the most important things, and something that I value over a lot of other things, for sure.
DRB and Midge, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today about this new project.
Thank you very much.
As you know, I wish you all the best in the world. You're almost like real brothers to me, so I do wish you all the success coming your way. I really do. Just one last thing, Midge, give us your Twitter so people can subscribe to that and get the details of the Kickstarter.
So I'll run through the Twitter handles quickly again. So the film actually has its official one, which is at Veil of Isolation. That's VEILOF Isolation. And my personal one is at Midgemeister, MIJMEISTER. Scott is at Scott Lyus, that's SCOTTLYUS. Natalie can be found at NDC_Martins, and DRB is
at DRB Composes. And I'm also recently joined Instagram as well. It's the same, DRB Composes.
There we go.
Excellent stuff. Well, like I say, I wish you boys all the best in the world. And
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't be strangers. Obviously, DRB, I'll speak to you tomorrow. But Midge, always welcome on here to chat about your filmmaking pursuits.
Sure, absolutely.
As you know. Okay. That's all from the first Renaissance Men Live. I think it went okay. My computer didn't blow up, so it's all good. It's all good. Like I say, we'll be returning tomorrow night for the podcast proper. I guess what's left for me to say is until then, take care and goodbye.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just too little love, but what the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. Lord, we don't need another mountain.